Numbers and Booleans. Types of numbers in Python. So we have three types of numbers. So there's int, float, complex. Let me just open a new Python file called numbers. Okay, so numbers practice. Now let's understand what are integers. So I'm assigning a few numbers. So 1 is an integer. Okay. A bigger number, right, without any decimals is an integer, and negative number is an integer where you don't have any decimal. So the type function is basically to understand what is the data type of that variable. So I'm just checking to see if x, y and z, all three of them are integers or not. So yes, they all belong to class integers. Okay, so this is integer. Now let's understand float. I've just written this normal decimal number 1.1 and then with 1.0 and then a negative number. Again decimal. I'm just copying it. See, can you see that class is float? Okay. Now we'll use complex. Complex is a number which has a real and imaginary part. Okay, so j is the imaginary part in complex. So always remember that. Now x is equal to 3 plus 4j. Sorry, the type has to be deleted. Y is equal to 2j. And then we have a negative imaginary number j. Now we'll again just understand their types. They are from class complex. Okay. So these are the different types: integer, float and complex. Okay, now we understand how to use the random module. Random is basically getting a random number, like the way your OTP is generated. Okay, so you'll be giving some numbers, and but for that first we need to import the random modules. Okay, let's first do conversion. I'll just do a small conversion showing you how to convert integer to float, float to integer. Okay, that I'll just give you a small intro. So I have all the three numbers. Now x is integer, y is float, z is complex. Now I'll convert integer to float. This is actually casting. I'm just doing a small casting. I'm just writing float and then putting x, and if I print a, and again the type of a. So let me first run this. So can you see that 4 has come out to be 4.0? Okay, and the class is float. Now I'll be converting float to integer. After this we'll be doing the random module. Similar things what we have done with A, we are doing it with B. Now 3 0.6, you have the decimal part has been removed and you only get 3. Okay, and the class is integer. Now we can convert integer to complex or float to complex, but the reverse is not possible. Now just see that it's become 4 plus 0j, okay, and the class is complex. So I've just converted an integer into a complex. Okay, as I already told you, complex it cannot be converted into any other form, right? It is a data type, so it cannot be integer or it cannot be float. Now we'll just quickly do random, okay, which is for getting random numbers. Okay, the random module is for getting random numbers. So I'm importing random. Now the system will understand what's random. Now random dot range. So rand range is basically the range that I want to give for that random to occur. So I'm giving a range of 60, 90, and when I run it, see 62. Okay, I run it again, it will be 17. Any number between 6 and 90, it will come between those numbers. So 19, okay, 48. This is how your OTPs are generated. Okay, this is the if things is in Python, it's a similar concept. Okay. Now we'll go to Boolean. Boolean has two values. We'll use bool function and any string or tuple. I'll just give you an example. Any string or tuple, if it's not empty, it's true, and if it's empty, it's not true. Let's quickly make Boolean practice Python file. Okay. Let's do a small program, okay, just to understand how the true and false work. So I'm just giving two values, two very constant values to variables. A is equal to 10, b is equal to 3. In later classes we'll understand how to get input from the user. Okay, so if b is greater than a, we'll write print b is greater than a. Now when I'm using the if function, we'll be doing it in detail. When I'm using it, you either getting a true or a false. Okay, so if the first one is true, the line number 4 gets printed, and if not, then line number 6 gets printed. So here we're getting the Boolean result. So if a is greater than b, the 6th line is getting printed. So that is the true one. Okay, similarly, if b is greater than a, line number 4 is getting printed. Okay, so that is how the Boolean works. Okay, now since see a has some value, the return would be true, right? If it doesn't have a value, if there was an empty string, or if the value is so I'll just show that if a is an empty string and the value is nil, and then I use the bool function, it will return a false. Can you see it's returning a false now? Okay, so now so this is what I was saying, that if any string tuple is true, it has some content, some sort of content in it. Okay, if it's not, it is false. Okay, now we'll do is instance. Is instance is basically checking that whether the that variable is of that instance or not. Okay, so just an is instance will always return true or false. So I'm just checking that X is a string or not, okay, that type or not. So the return would be true because X is check, right? So is instance give me either true or false. Now if I check is it an integer, it will give me false. Okay. So thank you. Please like, share and subscribe the channel.